Hey, what's up? I'm Alec Benjamin, and I'm going to play Open Up with Urban Outfitters. So I'm going to pick green. G-R-E-E-N. All right. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me pick 2. You know, I never actually understood these. Okay, here we go. Explain the phrase outrunning karma. Okay, so the phrase outrunning karma is about, I wrote that song initially about somebody in my life who I felt was like living an overly indulgent lifestyle. But in my music, I like to have a message, but I don't really like to preach, so I tried to tread really lightly when I wrote the song. But that was just me kind of saying to a friend like, hey, you know, you should be careful because eventually what you're doing is going to catch up with you. So that's what Outrunning Karma means. And I decided to name my tour the Outrunning Karma Tour because it was the only, I wanted to name my tour after a song, but it was the only song that I had on the album that I felt like would make sense for a tour name, so it wasn't that much, like I didn't put that much thought behind it. I was like, oh yeah, cool, there's motion implied with running. That's it. I don't even run that much, so, okay, I'm gonna go with 5. What's the first YouTube video you remember watching? Shoes by Kelly. Let's get some shoes. One of the biggest videos that I remember watching was Soulja Boy Tell Him, Crank That. It was like, for me, it was like, I remember seeing that video, and then there was like all these parody videos, and it was like, I remember that was when, especially for music, like you could be an artist and put a song on the internet and it could blow up. I remember I bought the ringtone for Crank That. So I was in like 6th grade, you know, my phone would light up, be like, you know, yeah, anyways, okay, cool. What is your favorite Death Cab for Cutie album and why? Okay, my favorite Death Cab for Cutie album is, I really like Plans, but my favorite, because that has I'll Follow You Into the Dark on it. I know it's cliche to say that, but that song is incredible. I'm not afraid of being a fan of the hits, because I just love that song. But I also love Transatlanticism. I think that's probably my favorite Death Cab album. Actually, my favorite Death Cab album is the Transatlanticism demo album. And it has a lot of sentimental value to me, but it's also some of my favorite songs. And I love how raw the demos are. And that's one of the things that inspired me when I was first making music to, I didn't know how to produce music, and I got dropped from my record label, so I couldn't afford a producer. The only thing I could afford to do was to make demos of my songs, acoustic demos. And I loved that album so much, I was like, well, if they can put out demos, then so can I. And so I love how raw, you could tell like in some of the songs that Ben Gibbard had just finished the song, and it was like still, the emotion was still, you know, like raw in his voice, and he just sang it. And I love that because sometimes you can rehearse and sing a vocal and it comes out great, but even if the vocal isn't perfect, sometimes on the first try it has that emotion that you just don't get when you're 6 months out and you've written the song and you can't remember exactly why you feel that way. Felt like his heart was like just broken. And for me that was not cool. I'm not like happy that his heart was broken, but well maybe, because I found that album like right around the time that my heart was getting broken, and so the sad part is now it's hard for me to listen to that album, but I love it so much. Okay, this question says, can you tell us about Narrowly Escaping Death by Scrunchies in Houston, Texas? I wouldn't say I was close to death, but definitely like that's the first time that anybody has ever thrown things at me on stage. But the scary part was not the Scrunchies. The scary part was when someone threw a cell phone up on stage, and I was like, what was that? And I picked up the phone, and I looked at the phone, and there was a notification on the phone that said, remember to wear retainer. And so I was like, okay, joke's on you, because you're going to forget to wear your retainer. Did you ever land on a name for your new friend? I actually have not landed on a name for my new friend, but usually when I name things, I have to decide if my new friend that someone got me a gift on tour that's like, it's like a big baby chick. It's like kind of weird looking, but also really cute. And so usually when I have things that have sentimental value to me, I name them after my grandparents. So I had to open up a touring company for this tour, and it's called I Love Judy and Julie Touring Company. So I have a guitar named Judy after my grandma, and my touring company is named after both my grandparents. So if this stuffed animal ends up having sentimental value to me, then it will be named after one of them. Your music is very lyric-centric. What's the worst lyric that you've ever written? That's a good question. This doesn't count, but When I was 4, I remember, or 5, I remember writing songs over Backstreet Boys songs and then like having a little journal, and I showed my dad, and I think my dad was like, that's really good, but I think in his head he was like, it's not that good. I remember having Giddy Up as one of the lyrics. I was 4 though. Tell us about how you used to play on the street for fans that were not your own. Okay, so I was signed to a record label. Okay, I was born in Arizona, and then I moved to California because I wanted to make music. I went to college for a year, but after my first year of college, I got signed, and I made an album, and I thought that was gonna be like my big break. But then my record label dropped me, and I didn't really have any way of, promoting my music, and I kept playing shows, but nobody was there. So I thought, well, if I can't get fans to come to me, then I'm just gonna go to fans. So I made like a big Excel spreadsheet, and I mapped out every artist that I thought would have fans who might like my music, and then I cross-referenced that with like where I would be and if I would be traveling and who would be in each city when, and then I would wake up every morning and be like, who's playing in town tonight, whatever city I'm in, and what the venue is, and I would just go there, show up with business cards, sing online, and be like, hey, my name's Alec, hope you like my music, check it out. And I did one by one, and I played, last 6 months of 2016, I played 170 shows, but I did most of those in parking lots. So I did it in crazy cities too, like Cologne, Germany. I did it in Paris. I drove around by myself in like a Skoda, and I ended up in Paris on the last show, and Shawn Mendes was playing, and there were 800 girls on the street, and I was like, fuck it, I have my guitar, I might as well try. That's the most fans I've ever gotten in one shot, like up until that point. I did it on days where I would be on tour with an artist, and in the morning I'd wake up and go across town, sing online, come back, play the show, and do the same thing the next morning. It was crazy. We heard that you were a black belt in karate. Can you show us one of your karate moves? All right, it's been a while. It's been 10 years since I took karate, and I actually regret stopping karate because I stopped doing karate because I remember there was like this dojo that I went to, and I worked out there. And one time, this girl that I like walked by the karate studio, and she didn't think it was cool, and then she told kids in school, and it was embarrassing to me, so I went home the next day, I was like, Mom, I'm not doing karate anymore. I did a style of karate called Kenpo karate, but what's cool, and I was like really into like Asian culture, East Asian culture, so I also studied Chinese for 4 years at the college level, so I can speak some Chinese. So I could say like, 我可以说普通话，我叫 Alec Benjamin, means my name is Alec Benjamin, I speak Chinese. Not good. I'm not even flexible anymore. I'm gonna like pull a hamstring. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm Alec Benjamin, and I'm probably gonna go eat a cheesesteak. Actually, maybe not. I'm lactose intolerant, but I'm in Philly, so I just want to say that. I'm gonna play a show tonight. It's gonna be great.